Appearance on Dion's Daily Dose does not imply endorsement from or by any candidate or guest. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by Dion Bergeron or Dion's Daily Dose are his own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of any guest. Material and information presented is for general information purposes only. The Dion's Daily Dose name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose.
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Dion's Daily Dose. Today we have a special episode. Good friend of mine, Shawn Holmgren, is in the studio with us today. Now, this is, I know we're starting a little late, and the reason for that is because we've been trying to isolate an echo from our video device. We didn't quite get it, so there is a possibility that you may potentially hear a tiny little echo in the background. We're still working on that. I'm hoping before we have our next studio guest, I'm going to try to figure some stuff out and get rid of it. But we decided you guys waited long enough. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Shawn on here. There he is.
Hello. Thanks, Dion, for having me.
Of course. Yeah, you're always welcome. For those of you who may or may not be aware, Shawn has been instrumental in a lot of the news stories that I present. He shares with me and keeps me informed, and I thank him for that. He is probably the most knowledgeable person I know when it comes to knowing what's happening in current affairs, and especially like at the national level. He keeps me informed. So we're going to have a little chat, a little sit down, and we're going to discuss a few different topics. Do you want to start? Or?
Okay, we can start with the dispute that's going on that the media has really not paid much attention to, which is kind of surprising, between Venezuela and Guyana.
Okay. All right. So let's see. I meant to bring this up, but while if you could kind of fill me in a little bit, I'm going to bring it up.
The dispute, well, it started back all the way in 1841. Well, okay, first I'm going to say what's going on now is ExxonMobil found like 46 areas in Guyana where there's oil. And now they're going to have 11 billion barrels of oil. And now Venezuela's a socialist country, and they see that they can make some money off that. And it happens to be in the area where there's a dispute that's been going on since 1841. And the dispute started when the Great Britain, in 1814, Great Britain had acquired British Guyana by treaty with the Netherlands.
Okay. Yeah, here, I got it here. I'm going to throw it up on screen just so people can look at it if they want. Let's see here. Screen. Well, let me drag this over here. Okay. And then let's see here. You can go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. And okay, I'll go on. Because 1814, Great Britain had acquired British Guyana by treaty with the Netherlands. And this is the area that's in dispute. And the treaty didn't really define a boundary. So the British sent Robert Shillmock, a surveyor and naturalist, to delegate that boundary. And in 1835, his survey resulted in what would be known as the Shillmock Line, a boundary that claimed an additional 30,000 square miles for Guyana.
Oh, okay.
So Venezuela still believes that that's their land. Well, the British explorer gave it to Guyana, so that's where the dispute lies.
Okay. Yeah, and looking here, it says in a brief statement posted Monday, this is from December of 2023, so last month. Oil giant ExxonMobil says it will keep ramping up production in offshore Guyana despite the escalation of a territorial dispute with neighboring Venezuela, which claims that oil-rich region as its own, exactly what you said. In a brief statement posted Monday on Facebook last month, ExxonMobil Guyana said it was reaffirming its, quote, long-term commitment to Guyana as tensions grow between the two South American countries that share a border. Quote, "We are not going anywhere. Our focus remains on developing the resources efficiently and responsibly per our agreement with the Guyanese government," the company wrote. And then earlier last month, December, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro proposed that companies operating in the East Essequibo region in Guyana that is rich with minerals and located near massive oil deposits should withdraw their operations within 3 months.
And the UN has gotten involved, saying that Venezuela shouldn't take any action to alter Guyana's control over the disputed territory. So, but I don't know if the UN will do anything about it. And Venezuela even have a referendum on it. And
yeah, it says here, Maduro has argued he has the authority to issue such orders following a December 3rd referendum aimed at annexing the Essequibo region.
And people might be asking, why does this affect me? It can affect you because this could actually bring more refugees to the United States, because if there's a war, there's going to be more people coming up here. Because
exactly.
So it is something to watch.
And let's face it, the vast majority of the immigrants that pile into this country are doing so under the asylum request. They're saying, hey, we want asylum because things are horrible in our country. We want asylum. We want asylum. Well, if this kicks off, then, like you said, I anticipate a larger number of refugees that are going to flee the potential conflicts.
And I'm not going to give the Biden administration much credit, but there's rumors that they want to create a base to actually help Guyana in this dispute.
Really?
But the Ghanaians don't want to help. They've rejected it publicly, but there's rumors that the Biden administration are talking about.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
And I think we could get in. I don't want troops involved with this, but we could send them. We send aid to Ukraine. I'm sick of sending Ukraine aid. Why don't we help Guyana a little bit?
The sad reality is, as nice as it would be that we cut off all aid to everyone around the world and focus on the United States first, which is what I believe, and
I do too. It is America first.
But the sad part is they're going to send all this money overseas. Why are we sending it to Ukraine and Israel and other countries when they're far, far away? This is something that could potentially affect us here in the United States, especially. We're talking about, it says here, ExxonMobil is producing about 600,000 barrels of oil a day after successfully drilling more than 40 wells off Guyana's Essequibo region. ExxonMobil Consortium also submitted a bid and received approval to develop 3 more areas in the region believed to contain additional oil deposits. Many of Guyana's largest gold, diamond, manganese, and other mines also are located in Essequibo. Most are Canadian-owned, but no companies have reacted yet to Maduro's statement. Several Chinese companies also have timber operations in the area. So we're talking about a multinational potential situation here. And like you said, other than this AP article, that's all I've seen of it.
Yeah, I followed the news pretty closely, and Fox has probably mentioned it twice since December. And NPR hasn't mentioned it at all, and I've never seen it on CNN or anything.
Right.
So they're ignoring it.
Very interesting. Okay. It says here, ExxonMobil told the investors nothing to fear. We want to encourage our investors to invest as much as they want. And then there's more, obviously, but this is the latest article that I saw. I'm sure there have been additional developments. So
there have been,
like always. Okay.
Over this weekend, I was reading today that in Brazil, they were having a summit between Venezuela and Guyana, and they both pledged that they were going to try to keep peace, but who knows how long that's going to last.
Right.
Maduro is a dictator, and you can't really take his word on it.
Right, precisely.
And then they suspended the person also this weekend that was supposed to take on Maduro in the election.
Election interference, huh? We've never seen that before.
Never.
Right. Okay, that's very interesting. I think it's something that we should probably pay attention to and see what's happening.
Oh yeah, and I will be.
Very good. Okay. It's very interesting that they will focus, by they, I'm talking about the mainstream media. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but they have spent an awful lot of time talking about the border dispute versus something like this that is, again, has the potential to not only send us more refugees, but also it's a good chance that if things go really, really bad, we could potentially be sucked into this. ExxonMobil's an American company.
There's so many spots in the world that's potential disasters going on.
Right.
We got China and Taiwan and Israel taking on Hamas, and Russia and Ukraine still going on.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Oh, for sure. There's a ton of stuff. If anybody is watching and can drop a comment, let us know how the audio is. We have a distorted audio here, so make sure you let us know if there are any issues for viewers, please. Moving on.
Okay, you want to do the next one?
Yeah.
All right. The presidential primary has started, and Trump won both Iowa and New Hampshire, and the media is trying to make it sound like most, at least 49% of Republicans won't want Trump because they didn't vote for him. But I think it's that they're just voting for him against him in the primary, but they'll come around in the election. It'll be like 90% again.
Well, one of the most interesting things for me, especially the primary in New Hampshire, is that they have what's called an open primary, so that you don't have to have, like Indiana, when you go into the voting booth, you can pull whichever ballot that you want, whether it's Democrat, Republican. Now, there are some states where doing so doesn't officially make you that way. That's how New Hampshire is. You can vote whichever way you want. Even if you vote in the Democrat primary, you can go and get a Republican ballot. That's what happened in New Hampshire. And the last thing that I saw was something like 70% of Nikki Haley's voters were Democrats. Did you see that?
I didn't see it that high.
Or it might have been undeclared / let me look it up so that I can get it.
Okay. Also,
sure
New Hampshire has very relaxed laws to be able to be on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of average Joes that run, and C-SPAN usually runs a debate for all the average Joes that run. So that's pretty interesting too. I usually watch that by 22 people that are just average. But anyway,
let's see here. Hold on. I've got it on my phone. Here it is.
what's it? 70%.
Okay. 70% of 70% of Haley voters in New Hampshire were not registered Republicans.
Okay.
So let's make sure
they could have been independent.
Clear that, yeah, independent or Democrat, but a lot of 7 in 10 voters supporting Nikki Haley in the New Hampshire GOP primary were not registered Republicans, according to a CNN exit poll. The poll found 70% of voters who backed Haley in the primary on Tuesday were undeclared or independent, while only 27% were Republicans. The remaining 3% were unregistered as voters before participating in the primary, so new voters. Whereas it's the opposite for Trump. 70% of Trump voters were registered Republicans, while 27% were undeclared and 3% previously unregistered.
I think Nikki. Okay, what were you doing?
No, go ahead.
I think Nikki Haley's done, but she just doesn't know it yet.
Right.
Because you're seeing behind the scenes that her mega donors are kind of backing off on her now.
Yeah.
So after South Carolina, I'm guessing she's going to drop out.
Yeah. Did we get the results from South Carolina?
No, South Carolina hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened? I thought
it
I saw.
happens February 3rd. Is the Democrats, and then Republicans are February 24th.
South Carolina. Right. Because I had read that, let's see here. Results expected February 24th. Look at you. You're on it, man. See what I mean? This guy knows what he's talking about. That I should just have him in the studio all the time so that, when I go, is this? He can go, no, you're wrong.
That probably doesn't happen often.
Right? No, I'm wrong a lot. That's why I have this screen here so that I can look stuff up, because if it wasn't for this, oh my goodness. But yeah, I think one of the things that I've found very interesting about this whole primary, number one, I understand, although I disagree, with Ron DeSantis running, and he appealed to the conservative base, right? The not necessarily we love Trump, but the people that maybe voted for Trump previously but believe we can do different or do better or whatever, a different option. Nikki Haley, in my opinion, has little to no appeal to regular conservative Republicans. I mean, especially like it was one thing when she first started, right? When she first got up on the stage and they did the debates and you're watching her. But after some of the things she said and after some of the pushes, for example, doxing people on social media.
I didn't like that.
I hated that. She's a warmonger. Absolutely. Like she wants to jump in with both feet. She wants to raise the Social Security age. She like every time you turn around, she's saying something else that's like, oh my God, really?
She wants to reform Social Security, though. I don't know if she wants to raise the
No, she did. And
did
she
say
that? Yes. Yeah. I've seen the clip. And that's the funny part. There's memes and little videos going around that's like, she's like, oh, I never said that. And then they play the clip of her saying it.
She does go with the win.
Uh-huh.
Whatever is at that moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I found that very interesting. And they have shown that some of her biggest donors are actually Democrat donors. Uh-huh. They have supported major Democrats in the past, including like, I don't want to speak out and be wrong, but her biggest donor recently dropped her. And he was also one of the biggest donors for Biden. So I'm gonna get that information while you continue
on. So I think that it's going to be Trump and Biden most likely again, unless the Democrats drop Biden at the convention, which is a possibility. And
yeah, here's from New York Times. Mr. Hoffman, the co-founder of LinkedIn, very anti-Trump. He gave $250,000 to Nikki Haley. Let's see here. Where is? Yeah, Reid Hoffman. That's the guy, I think. I had it before, but if you just put in Haley biggest donor or biggest donors into Google and look at some of the stuff, like it's some really, really interesting.
Yeah, she was my first choice at one time, and then I kind of backed off when.
And here's the thing, I can understand that, and I'm never going to like get on anybody or just disparage anyone for who they vote for. Regardless, like even those people who voted for Biden, I will disagree. I will say I think that was, a bad choice. But really what you have to decide, in my opinion, is you have to decide why. Why was this person your first choice? Many of the people who voted for Biden did so because they were convinced that Trump would have been a bad choice. Why? Because this, and this, right? Now, many of the things that they accused Trump of fomenting or causing, we are seeing under Biden
now.
But I understand, especially at the beginning of the primary, I understand looking at Nikki Haley as, okay, fairly young, especially, look, let's face it, for, those who love Trump, those who hate Trump, Trump and Biden are both old.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they're old. It's definitely time for some newer, younger blood in there. But okay, Nikki Haley, she was UN advisor. She was this, she was that. She was a governor. She was, okay, she's got the quote political chops, right? And then she opened her mouth.
Yeah, and it didn't.
Right. And started making some very bad calls, in my opinion, as far as, policy choices.
But yeah, it's going to be probably Trump and Biden again. And most Americans don't want that. So it'll be interesting to see what voter turnout's going to be.
Yeah. So interesting side note, we had a speaker at our breakfast that we do, kind of a Republican breakfast, 463 GOP. It's on the, well, I'll get into that later. But one of the speakers is a television media personality, and they actually said they don't believe either Biden or Trump is going to be in the November election.
Really?
But they would not say who they thought.
I could see the Democrats replacing Biden.
Absolutely.
At the convention.
Who do you think? Who do you think they're going to yank Biden and put in who?
I don't like the guy, but it's probably going to be J.B. Pritzker. I think.
You think it's going to be Pritzker? Okay.
Or Gavin Newsom.
I think Newsom, because they floated him, and he did the the behind the scenes White House tour, right? He did that. A lot of people have suggested Michelle Obama.
I don't think it's going to be Michelle.
Okay.
Because she's multiple times people have asked her, I've seen on TV, and multiple times I don't think she wants to get in political office.
Yeah, I could see that, especially given the recent I don't want to call it drama, but the recent issues that have surrounded her with Maui and the chef.
Oh yeah,
and there are some definite questions
about that.
Yes, there are some definite questions there.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I didn't even. Good point.
Yeah, and one thing that has been mentioned, especially by conservative pundits, media, whatever you want to call it, talking heads, one of the things is last time, like when Obama ran, the media was much kinder. Now the mainstream media is going to be kind, but the level of citizen journalists that are out there that will not hold back on reporting things about the Obamas in particular and Michelle individually, it would be very rough for her.
Yeah, I don't think she would have ran anyway.
No, probably not. But I think if they do choose to go that route, I think it's going to be a bloodbath as far as media coverage from independent journalists like X, for example, Twitter X, whatever you want to call it. There is so much information there, like so much, like it would not be kind.
No, it wouldn't.
it would not be kind. Okay. What next?
What's the next one?
Yeah.
You want to talk about the border?
Yeah. Let's talk about the border because there are some interesting things happening right now. So there are 25, maybe as many as 26 now states, in addition to Texas, that have offered support.
And
right?
Indiana is one of them.
Indiana is one. I saw that they are sending 14,000 National Guard troops down there, in addition to the other support that they already provide. How do you feel about 14,000 Indiana National Guard units going down to the border? Torn, right? I
am torn.
Yeah.
Because I can see the need for it, but then also, do I really want Indiana to be involved in that? What do you think?
I'm right there with you. On the one hand, here's my issue with the border and what's going on right now in particular. Yes, this needs to be rectified. Yes, we have a problem at the border. But that one little park is not the border. If you go down a half a mile from that park, there's empty field, an open gate. Like that park in and of itself is not going to stop the flow of traffic. However, something has to be done. I think that this is partially a way to call attention to what's going on, but also part of a bigger operation or perhaps potential court proceedings to hold the Biden administration accountable. Because one of the things is with the recent Supreme Court decision on this injunction, one thing that a lot of people are missing is this was not whether or not the federal government has authority or can do this or can do that. It literally was focused only on their ability legally to cut the wire, right? there is a much, much bigger case that was attached to that's going to get this, well, at least be heard, I believe February 7th.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring that up. But that's the thing that people are kind of missing. And the other thing to kind of keep in mind, the Supreme Court was ruling on precedents they already set.
Yep, the Arizona case.
Right. So that is something to keep in mind. And if you decide suddenly, if SCOTUS suddenly decides that the states are responsible for the border and the federal government has nothing to do with it, then what's to stop? For example, if Trump wins, right? When Trump wins and he takes office, what's to stop California from keeping the federal government out and opening the border?
Uh-huh.
All right.
So yeah, it swings both ways.
Right. Okay, let's see here. What am I looking for? Oh yeah, let's see, Texas.
Yeah, the numbers are astronomical. People coming in.
It's insane. It's insane.
I got just for the month of December, 302,000. But from this financial, 302,000
just for the month of December. Some estimates put it as high as 6 million that have already come through the border, which is higher than the population
this has been going on
over the last year. Yeah, which, if you think about it, like that's bigger than the population of multiple states.
We're being invaded.
Absolutely terrible.
And I think most of the people that are coming do want a better life, but the problem is you don't know who's who.
Okay, so this is, let's see here. I read this actually on a video that I did that was entitled SCOTUS and other stuff. You can find that. But it says here, okay, so I'm going to share this again real quick. All right. Let me find it. It says here, Texas told the justices there was no need for them to get involved in the dispute because the Court of Appeals has fast-tracked the case and is scheduled to hear oral argument on February 7th. So, I'm going to find that actually, obviously everything is about the razor wire, but I'm looking for the actual court case. Texas border case hearing.
Did you hear?
So yeah, I'm not able to find it right now, but
did you hear that Congress is trying to get involved and doing a border package this week? They're going to be writing up, and Fox News got of some of the leaked things. The bill is terrible. I don't know. They call it a compromise, but it's completely one. Do you want to hear the details?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
The deal. This is from Senator Lankford from Oklahoma. He's usually okay for a politician, but I don't know what he's thinking on this.
Okay.
All right. Here's the rules or the law. Mandatory shut border down once the daily migrant encounters hit 5,000 for one day. Shutdown also takes effect if there are 8,500 migrants encounters in a single day. And then shutdown would not lift until daily encounters are reduced to under 75%. But this doesn't make sense because they could still sneak in. I don't understand what they're trying to get at. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, that's kind of weird.
And the mandatory detention of all single adults.
Okay.
All migrants who do not have a valid asylum claim can be immediately removed, and any migrant caught trying to cross the border twice during the shutdown phase banned for 1 year.
Okay.
Republicans should not vote for this because this isn't going to do anything.
Well, that's like the one that they called a compromise, right? And they were talking about how they wanted basically anything over 8,500 per day that they wanted to shut down, right? That they didn't want to allow. Basically, 8,500 a day could come in, but anything beyond that, then they would stop them. And somebody did the math on it, And it was mind blowing how many they really want to let in to this country.
And
what
you do, I think what I'm going to write Marvan and our 2 senators about this. What I think should be done is just close the border down completely for a week, get it in situated, and then when you bring it back, only do a couple of the boarding crossings at a time and make sure that there's people there, because you got to send a message I'm sorry that we're full to these people, so they don't make the journey, because they're making the coyotes and the human smugglers millions and millions of dollars with this problem.
Oh, absolutely.
At least give them something. Democrats have to give Republicans something else, even if it's more border wall, or maybe also have something else. I completely lost my train. But it can't be just one-sided.
Right. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Bring back the Remain in Mexico policy that Trump had. Have these illegals have to stay in Mexico until their asylums are heard.
Yes. It's one of those situations where you have the majority of the population and vast majority of the population understands that we cannot have the number of undocumented immigrants, illegal immigrants flowing into this country. There's no way to track them. There's no way to know where they're going. There's no way to know who they are. They're just pouring in.
Being from Northwest Indiana, we get Chicago news. I don't know if you watch Chicago news or not.
Yes.
But there's been people who say they voted Democrats their entire life, and they're completely frustrated with their mayor and their city council. So it's going to be interesting to see if maybe they'll change. Maybe not vote Republican, but maybe have a libertarian in there.
That's possible. Another thing too is people are actually holding their elected officials responsible. They're standing up and saying, "Look, you're giving all this money." O'Hare is overrun with migrants.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures.
Chicago police stations have migrants camped out in them. It's mind-blowing. How can this be allowed? How the hell can we take our infrastructure and just turn it over? And this isn't even talking about all the high-end and regular hotels that have been rented out and filled with illegal immigrants, while you and I struggle to afford groceries.
And there was going to be like some convention a couple months ago in Massachusetts, I think it was, and veterans were trying to get rooms for their thing, and they wouldn't let them have a room because the illegals were in.
Yes, because insane. The illegals were taking up all the rooms. It's insane. How the hell can we allow this?
And they're also using VA benefits, I've heard. The illegals.
Are you serious?
I believe they're using the VA, if I remember right.
Hold on.
I could be wrong.
You know what? We're going to put it in because we might want migrants, VA.
I think they're using the system. I don't remember.
Oh, well, yeah. Let's see what we get on this.
Was I right?
Okay, hold on. So I'm going to share this. Okay, so just a Google search. Now, this is Google, so bear that in mind. But the first article is from WPDE that says VA diverting resources to give illegal immigrants medical care. Report shows worst insults to veterans. This is from Washington. The U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, VA, despite having a backlog of hundreds of thousands of cases, is appropriating resources to provide medical care for illegal migrants, according to a July report. The report by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security details the operations of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE detention healthcare facility. The facility works with the VA to contract, quote, with the Department of Veterans Affairs Financial Services Center, VA-FSC, to process medical claims reimbursements, end quote, for migrants who did not serve in the U.S. military. In 2022, the facility provided healthcare services to over 118,000 detained illegal migrants, according to the report. These services amounted to a cost of more than $63.6 million and is expected to be even higher for 2023. Now, VA spokesperson told the National Desk Thursday, quote, VA does not provide or fund any healthcare services to non-veteran individuals detained in ICE custody. At no time are any VA healthcare professionals or VA funds used for this purpose. The ICE Health Services provides and pays for all healthcare services for individuals detained in its custody, the spokesperson continued. The report sparked outrage from Representative Mike Bost, R. Illinois, who introduced legislation to block the funds from being used to aid illegal migrants. Joe Biden's failed border policies have created a humanitarian national security crisis. Now it appears he's taking resources away from our veterans to facilitate health care for illegal migrants, Rep. Bost said. As a Marine, I believe any dollar taken away from a veteran is a promise broken to those who serve. Now that infuriates me. VA can claim whatever it wants. I want to see this report. Let's see here. And for U.S. Border Patrol agents, 2023 has been overwhelming in terms of the numbers showing up. Let's see here. From the previous paragraph, Joni Ernst from Iowa last week scolded the Atlanta Veterans Administration on her naughty list. The agency had one of the worst wait times in the country, preventing veterans from receiving timely mental health care when in the midst of crisis. Dude, I'm stunned. I am absolutely stunned. So you mean to tell me it's not bad enough? It's not bad enough that the border's being overrun and we're being flooded with illegal immigrants, including, like, beyond the shadow of a doubt, terrorists and cartel members. Like, there's no doubt about that. The ones they capture prove it. How many are not captured?
Yeah, they're running the gotaways.
The gotaways, right? Just that is bad enough. But you're telling me that we're taking money from our veterans, which are treated like shit, I might add, already.
Yeah.
Like, I could go on and on about that. But, I mean, these people, in many cases, gave their lives, or at least signed up to give their lives to defend this country, and their benefits are going to people who don't even belong in this freaking country.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. Like, I'm steamed. I'm hot. Okay. See, I was not aware of that. That is mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. I want to see, okay, here's the report. Hold on. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to show you guys just so you can get it and can find it on your own. Whoops. Okay. It's called Healthcare Costs for Non-Citizens in Detention. July 12, 2023, fiscal year 2022 report to Congress. So it's a little older. And I'm sure it's even worse now. But let's see here. I'm sure this is really, really long. But according to this, okay, so yeah, it's talking about the ICE healthcare facility, but it says the facility works with the VA to contract with the Department of Veterans Affairs Financial Services Center to process medical claims reimbursements for migrants who did not serve. Dude, that's mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's messed up.
I can't even process it. All right. I got a sty on my eye, so it's like red. It hurts. But I'll survive.
That's topic, or do you want to continue?
No, we can move on. We're
all right. About Trump having to pay Jean Carroll $83 million, which is,
yeah. I mean, you guys should have heard this by now. If you haven't, I'm not signing up for Fox News or allowing ads. So he was ordered to pay, like you said, 83 point something million dollars.
0.3.
$83.3 million to someone who, I might add, isn't sure what year it happened, claims that this so-called assault happened in a bathroom at one of the busiest and most high-end department stores in New York, Bergdorf's.
I think that's where it was.
Bergdorf, something like that. Super high-end, a place that I could never afford to shop. So it doesn't matter. But my understanding is they didn't have doors on the stalls. They at best a curtain. And she couldn't remember when it was. She couldn't remember. She claims that this dress that she wore was the same dress, right? This is the dress, except that it wasn't even out. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it wasn't even made yet when this supposedly happened. There was no, like, when you can't give a date or even a year, but especially a date. How is someone supposed to say, well, I was here? How do they have an alibi for that? The entire judicial process for that was the craziest thing I've ever seen. I don't know if you monitored the trial.
I did a little bit.
It was nuts. Like, the lawyers couldn't have any evidence. They couldn't defend themselves.
And every time Trump tried to at least speak and defend himself, the judge shot him down.
Yeah. And this judge, his wife, has the craziest social media account, 100% anti-Trump from beginning to end. Now, the Trump team did file something claiming they appealed, obviously, but one of the things on the basis of the appeal is that there is a conflict of interest because apparently this judge was involved with her legal team in the past.
Wow.
I don't know if you saw that.
I did not see that.
Yeah. Look that up when you get a chance because it's interesting. It adds a whole new wrinkle. And anyone who watched any of the news coverage of this trial has to understand that this was the most biased, partisan, ridiculous miscarriage of justice that I have ever seen. Speaking of miscarriages of justice, I think this is a good segue towards the congressional thing we were talking about.
Okay, about former Congressman Jeff Fortenberry from Nebraska, who was indicted for insider trading, and basically the FBI just interviewed him twice, and they got him on, like, changed the story just a little bit. You know how things, and they got him for lying, and it was just overturned in December of 2023 because he was tried in California, and they ruined this guy. They just wanted to get him out of office, and there was no proof that he did anything wrong.
What's really amusing to me is if you're going to go after any member of Congress for so-called insider trading, you can't just go after one. Let's face it, like, that has been ongoing. As a matter of fact, they passed legislation to make themselves immune to prosecution for insider trading. They're above the law.
There should be, this is one of, you and Andrew were talking the other night that AOC even gets it right sometimes. Well, one of the things she's right about is that if you're in Congress, you shouldn't own stocks.
Right.
And you get so much information. Pelosi has made a fortune on some of this information she has.
Yes. And that's wild because there are people, and if I had money to invest in the stock market, I would absolutely do this. But there are people that all they do is invest in what Pelosi does.
And
the Pelosi tracker.
Did you see that? I follow that on Twitter.
Do you?
Yeah, there's a Pelosi tracker. I don't know if you,
I've seen it. I don't follow it because, like I said, I don't have money to invest in the market. But.
No, I don't stock, but I mean, there's an actual Twitter.
Yeah, there's a Twitter account. As a matter of fact, I was looking on Twitter for something else, so I'm going to bring that up so you guys can see it. I forgot what I was even looking for, honestly. Oh, this is something that I wanna get to. Let's see here, but in the meantime, but
Okay.
yeah,
We can do. Peter Navarro was just sentenced to prison for 4 months, but the thing that's crazy about it is he's going to prison for something that Eric Holder got contempt of Congress as well.
So this brings up, that's what I was looking for. This brings up an interesting point, which is that whole, okay, so there are many instances, especially within the last two administrations, right? Trump and Biden administrations, where certain people are prosecuted for certain things, but prior to that, everything was okay. They allowed that. There were no issues, right? Such as registering as a foreign agent and the various times they've claimed that these people have like, for example, the Congressional Subpoena, they don't show up. That's perfectly fine for the Obama administration, for the Biden administration.
But you can't do that for Trump.
Right. Navarro and Bannon. They went after Bannon as well for it. Whereas Hunter Biden didn't bother, and Eric Holder, I believe, didn't bother.
For Fast and Furious.
For Fast and Furious. We have actually a whole list of people where it was perfectly fine for them. Yeah, here, I'm going to share this. Yeah, Holder was held in contempt of Congress, failure to turn over documents related to Fast and Furious. But that's it. That's all they did. They just said, oh, you were a bad boy, but they never actually did anything about it. Hunter Biden defied the subpoena. And they say, well, he just got into more trouble. Didn't Comey, I believe, defy a subpoena?
I think he did
as
too.
Well,
during the Trump years.
Let's see here. Comey. Yeah. Comer and Grassley blast the FBI.
I don't remember if he did the FBI director.
Director Wray defied subpoena.
It's only when it's related to Trump.
Right. When it's something that they want to get Trump on, they will go after
everybody
connected to the man.
Did you see Rudy Giuliani lost his case too? He lost, I want to say he had to pay $136 million or something for defaming somebody in Georgia, and he's only worth like $60 million, if I remember right.
That's like Alex Jones was ordered to pay like what, $1 billion, multi-billion dollars or something. A lot.
He should have to pay something, but they go to that string.
That's the crazy part, right? So
they want to destroy.
Yeah, that's like this whole E. Jean Carroll case, right?
Uh-huh.
Look, even if you're of the opinion that everything, the jury said or the judge said, yes, all this is true and he's guilty. Even if you're of that opinion, right? $83 million. Because allegedly the whole thing is that she lost her job because she claims that this happened. Trump denied it, right? And she says that she was fired because of that. Even though the people who had hired her said that's not the case, right? That had nothing to do with it.
Didn't it happen? Okay, you should finish.
No,
it happened in like 1989.
Yeah, it was way back when.
There's a reason why there's statute of limitations too, is because people forget.
The details of the case, witnesses changed, circumstances changed, but they changed the law
in New York
to allow people to do this. One other thing that I found interesting is Trump is not the only person that she claimed.
Really?
Yes.
I did not hear that part.
Yeah. Let me grab it. It was very interesting. I believe it was the CEO of CBS.
Really?
Yeah. Let me see.
I have not heard that.
Let's see right here. Okay. So it says here, Carol was one of 13 women who accused CBS Corporation executive Les Moonves, Moobes, of SA in 2019. She says the incident occurred in the 1990s in a hotel elevator, not alligator, elevator, after interviewing Moonves for a story. He denied the allegations. There have been many people that, let's see here, people she has claimed. Okay, yeah, they're not gonna, Google's not gonna give it to me, but they're, put it this way, she has accused multiple people of doing stuff to her.
Wow.
And it is very, very interesting. We'll put it that way. And it's fascinating. And that's looking at her social media posts in the past. I don't know if you've seen
I have not.
some of the stuff she has said on social media. She did an interview with
NPR?
with CNN.
Okay.
And she was on stage, you know, with the Vanderbilt guy.
Anderson Cooper?
Yeah, Anderson Cooper. He actually went to commercial because she was so crazy.
Really?
Yeah, she was talking so like nuts. Yeah, let me find it because
Because she did an interview with NPR too. I listened to.
I didn't see that one. Let's see here.
That's the one I thought you were referencing.
Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. Let's see if they have the video because the video really says it all. Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's see it.
Yeah. Let me make sure I have something set up right. I should. Okay.
Oh.
I gotta start it over because we are unable to hear it. So. Okay. Hopefully, can you see it?
I can see it.
Okay.
I've not seen this.
That was the stupidest thing I've ever done. I should never have done it. And then I didn't behave.
When you say I should have never done it, you mean?
That was just a dumb thing to go into a dressing room with a man that I hardly know and have him shut the door and then be unable to stop him. And I was a competitive athlete, so I wasn't I didn't freeze. I rose to the occasion, and it did not last long. And that's why I don't use the word you just used. I use the word fight.
You don't use the word rape.
Sexual violence is in every country, in every strata of society. And I just feel that so many women are undergoing sexual violence. Mine was short. I got out. I'm happy now. I'm moving on. And I think of all the women who are enduring constant sexual violence. So this one instant, this one, 3 minutes in this little dressing room, I just say it's a fight. That way I'm not the victim, right? I'm not the victim.
You don't feel like a victim.
I was not thrown on the ground and ravished, which the word rape carries so many sexual connotations. This was not sexual. It hurt.
But I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
Wow.
Think of the fantasies.
We're going to take a quick break. If you can stick around, we'll talk more on the other side.
I can
You're
see.
fascinating to talk to.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
never seen that.
And
That was
that's-
crazy.
Yeah. She
Wow.
Yeah. There's more to it, but it's like mind blowing.
Yeah.
And just like many women have said, you don't forget so many details of an experience like that. What's really interesting, I don't know if you knew this, but the timeline of this thing, the layout, right, is actually an episode of SVU.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard that either.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this that's just like, what?
That's
So
crazy.
yeah. Okay, moving on.
All right, to the final topic that I have
Okay.
about the Pentagon being caught buying American data.
Okay. This is fascinating and incredibly disturbing. Okay, here it is. The Pentagon tried to hide that it bought Americans' data without a warrant. U.S. spy agencies purchased America's phone location data and internet metadata without a warrant, but only admitted it after a U.S. senator blocked the appointment of a new NSA director.
Yep.
Fascinating. Yeah, I highly recommend like people read the article. It's not that long, but that really does sum it up.
Yeah.
The headline really does sum it up. Because remember, obtaining location data from U.S. phones normally requires a warrant, but police and intelligence agencies routinely pay companies instead for the data, effectively circumventing the courts. Luckily, Senator Wyden from Oregon informed the nation's intelligence chief, Admiral Haynes, on Thursday that the Pentagon only agreed to release details about the data purchases, which had always been unclassified, after Wyden hindered the Senate's efforts to appoint a new director of the National Security Agency. Quote, the secrecy around data purchases was amplified, Wyden wrote, because intelligence agencies have sought to keep the American people in the dark. Yeah, Wyden's office says it's been investigating sales of location data to the government for years, uncovering multiple ties between the Department of Defense and what the senator refers to as, quote, shady companies committing flagrant violations of people's privacy. The company's practices are not just unethical, but illegal, he says. Yeah.
And the FISA's got to be renewed. Section 702 of FISA expiring. So there's going to be a huge debate in Congress if they should reauthorize that.
Oh, okay.
That's
good to know.
That's where they take up names and stuff for people overseas, phone data.
Okay.
But Americans get sucked under when there's like different calls, and it's terrible with abuse because they say that they don't spy on Americans, but most likely it's really easy to do, so they do it anyway.
Yeah, because here's the thing, right? It's supposed to require a warrant because of the Fourth Amendment. You have to have a certain degree of probable cause. You're not allowed, the cops can't just say, give us your phone, and get all the information off of it without a warrant. As long as you don't volunteer it, right? But in normal circumstances, they can't just get your phone information. It requires a warrant for that. Well, what they're doing is they're circumventing that by purchasing your location data, everyone's location data, as part of a wholesale purchase from tech companies who sell, let's face it, our information gets sold every single day. This would be a really good time if I had a sponsor, right?
Yeah.
For what the I can't think of it.
It's at the end of my
browser
tongue.
things. Yeah, the virtual VPN. Virtual private network. If I had a sponsor for a virtual private network, this would be a perfect intro. And then I could run the ad, but I don't. But there are ways to protect yourself. But the vast majority of Americans, we just use our phone, such as it is. And so what they do is these tech companies, they sell our data, and then our own intelligence agencies buy that data and use it to track you. Where do you think they got all of the people that were in the mall on January 6th.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, they're going after people now that didn't go into the building, that didn't commit any crimes, that didn't hurt anyone, that didn't do anything other than be in Washington, D.C. on an important date to raise their voice, because that's protected, supposed to be. And they're supposed to be able to peaceably assemble.
And those people that are from January 6th are still in prison.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think some of them still haven't had a trial.
Right. There are still some that, I heard that it was solitary confinement, absolutely terrible conditions, prevented from speaking to their attorneys. Like, it's nuts.
Yeah,
they
nuts.
treated these American citizens who, look, should the people have gone into the Capitol building? No, absolutely not. But as anyone who's been paying attention can see with the recently released videos, there was not what happened that they claimed. Like, the Democrats claimed that all of this happened, right? That these various things happened. I'm not going to get into it because you guys know. But the videos showed that the doors were open. The Capitol Police fired tear gas first, that people were assaulted, and then other people the doors were open. They were given almost guided tours of the Capitol, and they're being charged worse than people who attacked the federal courthouse in Seattle, people that destroyed statues, people that attacked police officers. Those people are getting off scot-free in many cases. But if you went to Washington, D.C. and you said, hey, I'm not happy with my government, it's not, you're treated like a terrorist.
Everything's upside down.
It really is. It really is. It reminds me of the passage in the Bible that talks about in the end days how, black is white, up is down. People are going to be, lovers of themselves and not respect. Like, I'm not going to give the direct quote because I don't have the Bible memorized like a few people I know. But yeah, there's like it really does make you wonder what our society is doing. Like why we're where we are right now. It's nuts.
It is.
So is there anything else you want to talk about? I think we're pretty close to the end here.
Yeah.
I know you got to get going.
So. Yeah, I do. Thank you for having me, Dion.
Absolutely. You're always welcome, Shawn. And for those of you who, were waiting for us to start at 7, we got started a little late because we were trying to get rid of this echo. I hope I'm going to run some more testing and come up with a few other ideas, but I think we're close. I think we're really close to having an effective in-studio setup.
Cool. I'm glad I was your guinea pig.
Right. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for spending your evening or whatever time it is that you actually watch this. I appreciate you joining me, and we'll see you again very, very soon. God bless you. God bless Indiana, and God bless the United States of America.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers, Shawn Holmgren and Michael Beebe. Copyright 2024. Dion's Daily Dose, all rights reserved.